Good morning, very good morning. Hope you all are keeping well. This is a continuation, and we are doing the fifth class on this capital structure under the management accounting. I hope this class will definitely be very much useful for the become sixth semester exam CA, CMA and CS on M.Com also in some universities. Today we are going to take up the most important part of this chapter, that is Modigliani-Miller approach or hypothesis. This Modigliani-Miller hypothesis, this is a capital structure irrelevance concept. That is, capital structure is not relevant for the valuation of the firm. So Modigliani and Miller argued that in absence of taxes and transaction cost, the cost of capital and value of firm are not affected by change of capital structure. The concept of, in other words, we can say capital structure is irrelevant and the value of the firm is independent of debt equity mix. That means there may be a change in debt and change in mixture of equity, but the capital value of the firm remains unchanged because the capital structure has no effect in valuation of the firm. The hypothesis is based on two propositions, and the proposition are: there is a perfect capital market, investors are free to buy and sell, they can borrow fund without restriction, they behave rationally, they are well informed, and there are no transaction cost. Firms can be classified homogeneous risk class. The same risk will have the same degree of financial risk. Homogeneous risk class means all the firms have got same type of risk. All the investors have same expectation of a firm's net operating income. That means the investors are also homogeneous in their attitude. The dividend payout ratio is 100%. That means there is no retained earnings, because whatever the company earns, everything is payout in the form of dividend. Then we are coming to the proposition 1. He has come out, that is Modigliani Miller, they have come out with two propositions. 1958, their proposition was without tax. Modigliani and Miller approach 1958 without tax. In this assumption, it is taken that there is no tax in the economy. That capital structure does not influence the valuation of firm. In other words, leveraging the company does not increase the company's market value. That means if you change the debt equity ratio, the market value does not change. This is also this proposition 1958 without tax. This proposition supports the irrelevance concept. That is, irrelevance means that capital structure is not relevant for valuation of the firm. It also suggests that debt holders in a company and equity holders have the same priority. Earnings are equally split among them. Then we are coming to proposition 2, that is come out after 5 years, 1963. The proposition 1 was 1958, and this is with tax. It says that financial leverage is directly proportional to the cost of equity. If the cost of equity changes, financial leverage also changes. With the increase in debt component, suppose a company increases its debt, the equity shareholder risk of the equity shareholder increase because they feel the company may not repay the debt. As the risk of the equity shareholder increase, the cost of equity, the expectation of equity shareholder also increase because the risk and the return are very much related. When the debt increase, when the loan increase, generally the shareholder feel unsafe. As a result, their risk increases. As the risk increases, they expect higher return. Proposition 2 assumes that shareholders have the upper hand as the claim on earning is concerned. Thus, the cost of debt reduces. The formula behind this Modigliani-Miller approach for a unlevered firm. Unlevered firm means there is no debt, only equity is there. So when there is no debt, that means KO and KE both are same. Cost of equity is equal to your overall cost of capital because the debt element is 0. So the value of unlevered firm is EBIT 1 minus T, KO or KE. Here we have taken that the tax rate is given. If the tax rate is given, you just ignore this part. It will be EBIT divided by KO or KE. If the tax rate is not given. So for unlevered firm, KO and KE have the same meaning and tax rate is not given, the formula is over here. Right? If then the second part is your for a levered firm, that is for a levered firm, the value of levered firm is value of unlevered firm plus T into D. This is an important formula so far as the levered firm is concerned. Levered firm means the capital structure consists of debt and equity. So when debt and equity both are there, so value of levered firm is equal to value of unlevered firm plus T. T stands for your tax rate and D stands for your debt, the value of debt. Right? So with this we can find out, then we can go for certain graph and we will come to the problem so that your theory part of Modigliani-Miller hypothesis will be thoroughly clear. So this is the Modigliani-Miller model So let us study the graph. If the theory question comes a long question, you may give your graph and presentation. This is your debt equity ratio in this y-axis, and this is your cost of capital. Here the overall cost of capital KO remain constant. That means the overall cost of capital remains same even if the debt equity ratio changes here. Here the debt equity ratio changes, but the overall cost of capital remains same. The KE and KD, that is cost of equity KE and cost of debt, that is your KE, they changes, but they adjust in such a manner the overall cost of capital remains same and the value of the firm does not change, because the as per hypothesis, the cost of capital is independent of capital structure. Here the cost of capital KO, it is independent of capital structure. Capital structure is shown over here. Debt equity ratio changes in y-axis. If the in the y-axis, if the debt equity ratio was something here, it is something here, but the overall cost of capital does not change. This is the approach irrelevance. That is, the capital structure, the change in capital structure does not affect the value of the firm or the overall cost of capital. Right? Now we shall go for the problem on this particular model so that it will be more clear to you. So this is a problem. I think this is one of the very important problem for you. There are two firms, P Limited and Q Limited, which are identical. Q has the debt, P is a unlevered firm, that is, P does not have any loan. Total asset of the firm is 10 lakh, all represented by share capital of 10 lakh in case of P. Equity capitalization rate is 10%, which also overall cost of capital KO. It has EBIT 2 lakh, subject to corporate tax 35%. Q Limited also having total asset 10 lakh, but it has a 5% debt of 4 lakh. That means equity is 6 lakh. Right? There are two firms, P and Q. P is the unlevered firm, Q is your levered firm. Then using model, determine the total market value of both the firms. Determine cost of equity for both the firms. Determine overall cost of firms. Make suitable comments. So friends, you see the total market value of the firm, if we are taking the case of P Limited, P Limited is a unlevered firm. That means there is no debt. If there is no debt and tax is there, this is the formula value of unlevered firm. EBIT 1 minus T, KO or KE, same, because there is no leverage, no debt. So cost of equity is the only cost and it is the overall cost here. So 2 lakh is the EBIT given in your question. 1 minus 0.35, that is your tax rate. by 0.10, that is your cost of equity. The value of unlevered firm P Limited stands at 13 lakh. Right? Now we are coming to the valuation of the levered firm. The levered firm is valued by unlevered firm plus T into D. T is your tax rate, D is your value of debt, VU is your value of unlevered firm. So the value of unlevered firm we have determined, that is 13 lakh, plus the tax rate is 0.35 into debt, that is your 4 lakh. So value of unlevered firm comes to 14 lakh 40,000. Since the value of levered firm comes to 14 lakh 40,000, since the value of levered firm is more than value of unlevered firm, we will see the cost of levered firm, the overall cost of levered firm is less than the cost of your unlevered firm. So total market value is 14 lakh 40. Out of that, 4 lakh is the value of debt. So the value of equity is 10 lakh 40,000. This is your value of equity. Because the total value is S plus D. D is your 4 lakh. V is your 14 lakh 40,000. Therefore, equity is your S. S is 10 lakh 40,000. This is the value of your equity. Now, let us find out the cost of equity for P Limited. P Limited is a unlevered firm. EBIT is 2 lakh, and for P Limited the cost of equity is given. It is given very much in your problem, that is 10%. So we need not have to work out for this P Limited, which is unlevered firm. Now we will come to the value of equity, cost of equity in case of a Q Limited, which is a levered firm. In Q Limited, 4 lakh is your debt and 6 lakh is your equity share capital. So EBIT is 2 lakh, interest is 4 lakh into 5%, it comes to 20,000. So EBT, earnings before tax, is 1,80,000, tax is 35%. So earnings available to equity shareholder is 1,17,000. This is the earnings available for equity shareholder. Now, if we shall divide the earnings available for equity shareholder is 1,17,000 and the value of equity is 10,40,000. This is your value of equity in case of Q Limited. The earnings for equity share is 1,17,000. So we see the cost of equity is 11.25%. This is your cost of equity. Then we will come to the overall cost of capital. The overall cost of capital we can find out in case of P Limited. There is no debt. So overall cost and cost of equity both are same. It is same for P Limited. Right? Now for Q Limited, we shall find out D is your debenture, the value of debenture, V is the total value, KD is the cost of debt, 1 minus T plus S by V into KE. S is your value of equity, V is your total value, 14,40,000, and D, we can break this V as D plus S. V is equal to D plus S. D stands for your value of debt. Equity stands for S stands for your equity. Right? KD is the corresponding cost of debt. KE is the corresponding cost of equity. So if we take value of debt here, the total value is this much, and 5% is the rate of interest of debt, 1 minus tax rate. Similarly, the value of equity here 10,40,000, and D plus S 14,40,000. This is 14,40,000, and your cost of equity is 0.1125. It was 11.25%. If we divide by 100, it comes to 0.1125. So if we multiply this and make a simplification of this, so this will be 4 lakh by 14,40,000. This will be 10,40,000 by 14,40,000. This is your 0.055% into 0.65. And by simplification, you can calculate separately for this one, separately for this one, and it will be 9.03%. So in case of Q Limited, the cost, overall cost is 9.03. In case of P Limited, which is unlevered firm, the cost of equity, overall cost is given as 10%. So the computation of different value can be summarized. EBIT, corporate tax same, market value differs, cost of equity also differ. Here, due to presence of debt, the cost of equity increases. Right? So it is evident whatever we are seeing, the total overall cost of capital is 10 in case of P Limited, which is unlevered. In case of Q Limited, which is levered, it is 9.03%. So we are seeing even if the cost of equity increases here, but the total overall cost decreases. Right? So it is better that your capital structure consists of debt. So what will happen in this is high cost and this is low cost. So generally the P Limited will try to borrow funds and lower its cost. It is evident that because of corporate taxes, the levered firm can lower its cost of capital or increase in market value, continuously increasing leverage in capitalization. So cost of debt, cost of overall cost reduces due to continuously increasing the debt. So the firm with no debt will try to take debt to reduce the overall cost of capital. So friends, this is all about your Modi-Jilani Miller approach, and in the next class we are coming to the traditional approach. There is remaining one part is there, and hope you will draw maximum advantage by going through all these videos. This is the 5th class, and we will be doing more classes on this particular chapter so that you need not want any outside help for preparation of the exam. If you like the video, please subscribe and offer your comments. Thank you again.